Okay, friends, we are back for another episode of our on-topic conversations. Remember, these are hopefully short, fast, and gives you about a combined 80 years of knowledge. That has to do with one particular topic. Today's topic is difficult
Conversation. Yeah.
conversations.
I'm like, oh, what is
Um,
today's topic? I don't know.
Yeah, what is today's topic? Okay, so difficult conversations. This is a good one. This is for all ages, and we talk about quotes, books, and truths that we have found throughout our lives in order to take care of that. So, Nicole, I'm gonna come to you. Tell
All
me
right.
about your quote.
Okay. My quote is when we avoid difficult conversations, we trade short term discomfort for long term dysfunction. Meaning, if you're not taking care of the elephant in the room, it is going to be, well, actually, if you're not taking care of the mouse in the room, it's going to be an elephant in the room, kind of is what that means. And so, more difficult to take care of the longer you put it off.
Yeah, I had some of those. Me too.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna know who this one is. This is my quote comes from Tim Ferriss.
Yes.
Yep. A person's success in life can usually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have.
Yes.
And then can I give one more?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this one comes from Douglas Stone. He has a book about handling difficult conversations, mostly in the workplace. But I found this quote to be interesting. Listening well is one of the most powerful skills you can bring to a difficult conversation. And again, that's Douglas Stone.
Yeah. And I just did it, but they talk about one podcast I listened to talked about acting listening. And so if you're acting listening, well, real listening, you shouldn't say a word. There shouldn't be, uh-huh, okay, I see what you're saying. They call that acting listening. Listening is just sitting there, taking it in, waiting till they're done talking, and then doing your talking. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
which is
trying
hard
to,
in a normal conversation or a difficult one.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah, so
I do it
controlling
there.
that.
So yeah, I gotta watch
No,
that.
but this is an easy conversation. We're
Yeah.
back and forth. I approve of the um what is it when you get like the feedback, the positive feedback.
Affirmations or feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you got a book? I know we
I
got a lot of
do.
stuff to get into, so
Yeah.
we're gonna
My
skip through these
book
really fast.
was, what was my book? Fierce Discussions by Susan Scott.
All right. Susan
Yes.
Scott, was she uh do you know her background at all?
I can't remember. She has an accent because I listened to her on Jay Shetty's podcast
Oh,
too. She
okay.
was on there on his On Purpose. And she has the 7 questions to prepare you for a fierce conversation. And I'm not going to share them, but look them up because they're really good.
Yeah. Okay, Jay Shetty, that was a good one. I'm sure he's got a quote on it too. I brought The Discomfort Zone by Marshall Reynolds.
Okay.
And that's a short read, but it kind of talks about a little bit about your home space and your workspace and the difficult conversations in both.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, because you definitely handle them differently.
yeah,
And that's something I was going to talk about was, knowing what your outcome is. Is this conversation that you're going into a healing conversation or a just get it a hard conversation?
okay.
Like you're done, you're let go, goodbye.
Oh,
There's no conversation to be had, or
this is not
can we
a
make this work?
debate. This
Yeah,
is not a debate.
there is no discussion.
It's
This is
just relaying information, which is
Mhm.
which is sometimes harder for the receiver to receive than the giver to give.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to go into on receiving hard conversations, but I didn't really get there. I did all
Okay, well maybe
and,
we'll
and
have
so I think that
another
that would
episode.
be another one down the road is being the receiver of difficult conversations.
Yeah, absolutely, because whether or not you are the giver or the receiver, you are going to have some ability to control it, and you can feel it, right? I mean, they always say, who's they? I don't know. You can feel you could cut the air with a
Yeah,
knife.
yeah. Feel the
You
tension
know
at the
something's
time with the
coming.
knife. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you have to be ready for that with some clarity. And I liked how you said you have to have a goal in mind, always objectives. And
Hmm.
if you're bringing it, um, those are super easy to have, but when it's coming at you, I think the objective is just to like maintain, gather information, stay calm, and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think you try as hard as it might be, embracing the moment, you know. So listening with an open mind. Try not to say
Hard.
anything that's gonna
So
get
hard.
you, you know, more in trouble, or whatever it might be. Just try to just take it in, and then say, can I come back to you if you're having a hard time with what's being dealt to you? Just like, can you
Hard
come
time
back, and
meaning like emotion?
yeah,
Like,
emotionally, or I disagree, or this is
mm,
BS, or whatever it might be. If you're having a hard time containing that, just say, hey, can we continue this conversation? I need to compose myself, or whatever. I just,
yeah.
what, can we continue this conversation tomorrow? I wasn't ready for this, and
And
I
then look what
want to
that
be
did.
able to.
That turned you into the receiver to the giver.
Yep, and I
Okay.
want to be able to have a really good conversation about this. I want to make sure that I learn, take this as a learning opportunity, and can we continue this conversation tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, maybe you can't do that with a stranger about about a topic, but
Yeah,
certainly someone in your workplace or a friend in the family, you should be able to do that.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
how do you go about identifying the concern?
Identifying the.
Because obviously, like something happened.
Mhm,
So communication is hard.
can be.
Well, I think when you get to the point of having that difficult conversation, if you haven't written it all down already or had that mock conversation with your in your head,
Mhm,
I mean, identifying the concern in my opinion is the hardest one to portray to someone that you're talking to. Either they don't want to you don't know how to put it into their words or show empathy so that they can understand why you're bringing it to the table. That's what
yeah,
I found in my past experiences. Because we want to, what do we want to do? Around
yeah.
the bush.
Turn around it. No, that's just delaying the long-term dysfunction. Yeah, I have conversations while I drive all the time, like things I'm going to say, whether it's a difficult conversation or something else. Usually, if you see me lost in thought when I'm driving, it's probably because I am prepping for something. And I think preparation is the magic to any kind of difficult conversation. And so, one is, what do you want? What outcome do you want from the conversation? The next one, it's like I said earlier, is it's going to be a hard conversation, or is this going to be healing? Are you trying to remove them from your life, your office, whatever it might be? Or are
Hmm.
you trying to coach them, change a behavior, teach them, that kind of stuff? Determine what that is.
Yeah.
And then if you are trying to coach them, then you need to ask questions and listen. And then ask yourself while you're preparing, is it about their attitude, their ability, or their awareness?
Wow.
Is there an issue with one of those three A's? And
Okay, say that
then
again. Ability.
ability, attitude, or awareness?
Mm,
What is causing the issue that you need to have this difficult conversation about? One of the three A's. And then always think about the news as neutral, and
okay.
and don't say, I'm sorry I have to do this, because then that puts it on you. So keep it about them, and go from there. So that's kind of some prep tip for difficult conversations.
Yeah. And then when you're driving, do you also practice your body language? I'm just kidding.
I I may unconsciously, because I think I sit up more, and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
maybe, but no, consciously I am not practicing my body language.
I
But the biggest
think
thing I can say with body language is just don't cross your arms, whether you're the giver or the receiver.
mm,
No
keep your
matter
body
if,
open.
even if it's cold in the room, try not to cross your arms, because that's closing you off for any discussion. That's what closing your arms means. So,
Yeah. And then, difficult conversations. And maybe this is a little bit, this is just what I've seen. You have difficult conversations with someone, and then their voice tone raises. And people who push buttons know that you're to a point where they could just send you right over the edge. So maintain your body language, and that has to do that's this too, right? So we're
Mhm.
not rolling our eyes,
Yeah.
crossing our arms, like Nicole said, but we're standing strong, and then we're maintaining the pitch in our voice, which I think is really hard, especially when we start putting emotion in there.
And our eyes, like my eyes. One thing is, I better, if I'm ever in a difficult conversation, make sure I have my glasses on, because if I have to read something and I don't have my glasses on, it looks like I'm really mad.
Okay.
So
To self. Note to self.
it's
Excuse
like,
me,
why are you
do you
so mad?
usually
I'm
wear
not mad. I
glasses?
just can't read right now.
Yes. And then that calmness, bringing the calmness to the space that you're having the conversation in is important too. And whether that's just a little bit of music in the background, I mean, you'd be surprised at what that will do for your subconscious, just having something to listen to rather than, your angry thoughts. Because if you're having a difficult conversation, chances are that's where it's going to go. True?
I
A little bit?
listen, yeah, well, I listened to a podcast who said that they literally picture, and they come from a very religious background, but they literally picture Jesus going into the room first. So to
Oh,
bring that kind of calmness to them, that, well, one, what am I going to say around Jesus? But just that sense of calm. And so, yeah, whether you need to meditate, music, whatever it might be, to bring that sense of calmness before you walk through that door to have the
yeah.
conversation.
Wow. That's a good tip. I never thought about that. And then I think that every conversation will start differently, usually. But like we talked about before, like you have to know where it ends.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then, like, appreciating, thank you for taking the time to discuss this. I mean, that can be such a canned response for the end. And you have to gauge, like, jeepers, how much time is this going to take?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
once you get into it, if there's no other blockers that are happening, you gotta figure out how to get yourself out of it too.
Hmm. Yep. And that I have some tips for diffusing a difficult conversation. So I have 3 tips. If you're in the
Okay.
middle of one and you're trying to diffuse it, or you just can't get onto the same page, or it seems like it's going forever, there's 3 questions that you can ask. And one is, are you looking at this differently than I am? Are we not on the same page? The next one is that what you intended? So
Okay.
like, maybe they didn't intend whatever happened to come that you needed to have this conversation about. Maybe they didn't intend it that way. And then, is there something I'm missing? Is there something that would help me understand this better on why we're not looking at it the same way? So if you're in one of those difficult conversations that just keeps going, those are 3 questions you can ask to try to get back on the same page.
Wow. Okay. Look at that. There was
There
your
you go.
fire hose. If you saw anything that you liked, or if you knew a book or a podcast, make sure you like
Yeah.
and comment. We're sponges too on difficult conversations or anything else along
Yeah.
that era. I mean, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for spending time with us today. Make sure you check out the resources section in the description of this video. Like, comment, share, suggest, and then tune in next time when we talk about life hacks for high achievers.